So I came to abroad in the year 2022. And coming to abroad, a lot of things change. And the biggest question, especially from people who you live back at home, they're the ones who get affected the most because there's that disconnect. When somebody moves to abroad, there's that disconnect between their family, especially between the extended family and people that actually move to abroad. And most of the time is usually not intentional. And sometimes there's stigma around it because you'll hear people saying, when this person moved to abroad, now they feel like they've made it in life. They don't want to talk to us anymore. They feel like they've made so much more. They feel like they've made so much money. They don't want to interact with us anymore. There's just so much negative comments that goes around when people move to abroad. And really, 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 the question is really, 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 are people intentionally not keeping up with their friendships back at home? Are people not intentional with communication again? Or what really happens? And let's get into the dive of it. So I'm going to be using myself as an example, really, yeah? And we're going to use myself as a mirror today. And let's talk about this topic and the changes that also comes with moving to abroad. We're going to go deep and see, before we judge our brothers and sisters, our cousins, why not try and put ourselves in their position? And then when we put ourselves in their position, see their perspective or sit by their side and see their point of view. Then we can say, okay, this person changed, this person did not change, or life just happened. Okay, so I'm going to talk first of all, the biggest change that come when you move to abroad is there's broken communication. Yes, broken communication, because unfortunately that happens with long distance relationships. Because remember, when your family member moves to abroad, there's that like they're not physically there anymore. Yes, the phones are here, but sometimes you just are caught into the hang of life happening under here or down here or up here, and you just forget yourself. You even forget your family members. And sometimes, because of all those things happening, people tend to think that you are actually ignoring them. So when I talk about broken communication, what am I meaning really? So remember, life in abroad here, life goes very fast. Like, here is you by yourself and God for you. You have no family members here. You come to abroad as a new person and you're creating new friendships. So first of all, most of the time you don't have any social groups. You're just by yourself. So you're actually trying to create life for yourself. And if you come with a small family, you're probably you and your small family or a group. Yeah. And actually, one thing you'll realize is, this is one thing I've realized, people who move to abroad, they tend to create more closer friendships. Yes, like they tend to create more closer friendship because the people that you create friends with here in abroad become more of family, because those are the people that are close to you. Those are the people that understand your struggle more than anybody. And don't get this out of proportion. Yes. And if I'm wrong, please, I tend to be corrected. Yes. So what happens is, with a long distance relationship, first of all, you come to abroad and whatever you were expecting is not what you find, because here you have to work. You have to work to put food on your table. You have to work to pay your bills. So sometimes we tend to think, especially when you're coming here with the mindset from back at home, you tend to think that, I'll go to abroad, make quick money, and then go back at home. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. You come here and you get the shock of your life, that the money you're earning is just sometimes enough to pay your bills. It's not even enough for you to save. So what do you have to do? You probably have to even get another job. And in the midst of getting another job, sometimes you even forget yourself. You'll find some people who live in abroad, but when you look at them, you're like, hey, this one lives in abroad. Ay, hapana. They don't look good. They're not looking like the abroad that people think about. Because abroad is just like, I've said this in my previous videos. Abroad, or whichever country that you're in, is just like any other country. It's like being in Kenya. It's just because here is more developed and our country is developing. The difference is that back at home you have family members or the climate changes that come with it. But really, 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 it's the same. You have to work. You have to work. If you don't work, nobody's gonna pay you. If you don't work, nobody's gonna take care of you. You don't have your mother here that if you don't work, you're going to ask them to send you food from the village. Nobody cares about you here. The government expects you to work and for you to pay your taxes. I said this in one of my videos. Becoming homeless in abroad is very easy. The moment you lose your job, you are definitely going to be homeless. And I'm telling you, it is hard. If you see people who've gone to the US and you see a lot of people are now in their shelters once they lost their jobs, trust me, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you don't work, you don't get paid. If you don't work, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. If you don't work, you won't survive. That's it. So, the broken communication comes from the changes, especially work changes. Because imagine you're coming into a new environment. First of all, they have new work policies. They have and there's the time difference. And just the working environment is different for you as compared to where you're working back at home. And also depending on the type of job that you're doing. So imagine you're working probably 12-hour shift. When you're working 12-hour shift, for example, this is somebody that works in a care home. They're from a 12-hour shift. You think when they want to get home, you think they want to even look at their phone. They just want to keep to themselves and just sleep. They just want to rest. And sometimes it becomes a routine that you go to work, you come back home, you go to work, you come back home, you go to work, you come back home. Some people even tend to forget themselves. And in the midst of the working and trying to find money and trying to make things work, you forget about people back at home. You forget even about yourself because life has become busy. It happens involuntarily. I'm telling you. It happens involuntarily. That's why it is good to be intentional. And being intentional is you setting time aside. You can actually decide to put dates. You say the days you are off, because this is what people do. Most of the days when they are off, that's the time they sit down and they call their family members. Because during the week when you are at work, first of all, there are phone policies. You can't talk with your phone at work. So the time difference is there. You can't be calling people while they're sleeping. So we just have to be kind and just be intentional with our relationship and not have the mindset that when people come here, they change or they become more proud or they've made more money. It's nothing like that. It's just environmental changes from work and just from life here in general. Life becomes busy. The bills here are very expensive. You have to make sure you cater for your bills because if you don't, trust me, you're going to live outside. And I've said no, and I've told you guys nobody really cares. So, if we can just be kind to our brothers and sisters here, trust me, it is not their fault. It is not their fault that they're not keeping up with the friendship. It is not their fault that there is that disconnect. Yes, they are partly, playing a role because they are no longer doing those long conversations. Because sometimes you find, even when you're making your phone calls back at home, you want to make them very quick, pass your message, and continue with your life. Because sometimes you're just very tired. You just want to keep to yourself. You just want to rest. And in the midst of this, some people even get into depression because there is no social gathering. Life here is very, how should I say it? I would say actually life here is very boring. If you're not intentional with making social travels, like if you don't go for the social events, if you're not intentional with just taking care of yourself, if you're not intentional with wanting to travel and go to other places, trust me, 2 years will go by and you're doing the same thing. 2 years will go by, you're just going to work, coming back home, going to work, coming back home. You have to take that part and you have to play your part of just saying, so I'm going to be intentional by calling my people back at home. I'm going to be intentional by going out to travel. I'm going to be intentional to go to those events so that you get friends. If you don't do that, your life is going to be so boring. And that's why people get into depression. And that's why people stop talking to, even their families back at home. Because life has just, like, people are just in their own bubble. People are living in their own bubble. Because life has just happened and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it, because that is how life in abroad is. You have to work at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean that the fact that you need to work, you exclude yourself. No, you just have to understand that yes, that times have changed, things have changed on your side. Just try and incorporate a routine for yourself. And people who are back at home, try and be a bit more kind to them. Don't get tired calling your brother. Don't get tired calling your sister. Continue calling them. Continue checking up on them. Let us not assume that they're keeping quiet because they feel like they're too proud. No. It could be actually they're going through the most. They're going through the most. Because also have this in mind that you're the same people that expect them to send you money back at home. You expect them to continue, supporting your lifestyle back at home. How will they continue supporting your lifestyle back at home if they don't go to work? Imagine they're supporting your lifestyle back at home, whether it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. They're probably paying your mom's bills. They're probably paying, your parents' investment plans. They're probably taking care of their siblings. It could be anything. And at the same time, you also expect this person to invest back at home. So the broken telephone, the broken communication will happen. It will happen because life has just caught them. The pressure of expecting them to achieve. You've already put an expectation on these people that they should achieve. They should be looking better when they come back at home. Definitely. The best thing that they can do is work. And in the midst of work, the broken communication happens. So if you're back at home, just take it as just be a bit polite, be a bit kind, and give guys that live in abroad, or give us that live in abroad, some grace. Understand that most of the time we are not keeping quiet because we want to. It's just because life has become too, how should I say it? Like, life has become too tangled sometimes, or sometimes things have become too busy because we are trying to make ends meet. We are trying to make you happy. At the same time, we are trying to make ourselves, happy, and making sure that things are happening for ourselves. And we are trying to also make the tax man happy. So trust me, it is not easy. It is not easy. Something else I'm going to talk about is body changes that come when people move to abroad. There's this comment that people tend to say that, hey, you're moving to abroad. Hey, you're going to add weight. You're going to become big. You with your eating habits, especially people that tend to eat much. Hey, you with your eating habits, the way you're eating like this, when you move to abroad, I think you even to, people just make comments and you're like, where? And the worst happens is, then you move to abroad and the body changes and you probably become bigger. The stigma that is going to come with that. The shame that is going to come with that. How people are going to talk about you, even your kids. People will be like, hey, can you imagine when so-and-so child was here? Now look at them. They've neglected their child. They're just giving their child junk food. And that is not what really happens. Guys, I want you to understand this, yeah? The body changes, especially the weight gain. I'm going to talk about the weight gain because this is for both men and women. The weight gain happens because, first of all, let's talk about the environmental change, the climate change, especially people that live in countries that have winter. During winter, it is very, 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 very cold. And when it is very, very cold, even the body metabolism changes. So can you imagine? You're handling your body metabolism. You're handling new food. Remember, even the culinary changes because you're now having to eat food that you're not used to. So imagine, you're going through all this. Definitely, especially during winter, more people or most people, even the locals, they do add weight during winter. It happens because there is nothing... There is no much, especially when it comes to activities, there is no much that you can do during winter. Especially in the UK, because I lived in the UK, during winter, it is very cold. You actually just want to keep to yourself. The high levels of depression that happen during winter are just ridiculous. Most people get depressed during winter because of the weather. The weather is so dull. Like, it is so dull. Sometimes you just don't know what to do. You, like, where uko to you, you're just there. And part of it is definitely when the body is not active, the weight changes is going to happen. And sometimes people back at home don't even understand. You'll hear someone saying, hey, you're now eating too much. Or you hear someone, I've been a victim because I came to abroad in the year 2022. And 2 years, almost 3 years down the line, I came as a 64 and I went to 80. And most of the weight I was gaining is during winter because of the hormonal changes that were happening. And let me tell you, some comments that I was getting, I was like, where? Huh? Someone actually told me that, hey, you, the way you're adding weight like this, you look like... Someone actually told me I look like a pig. Someone did tell me that. And sometimes it's just very hurtful. On my social media platform, someone actually even commented, hey, stop eating junk, stop eating McDonald's sauce. And I'm thinking, most of the time, you even rarely go out to eat. Most of the time. Me personally, I don't eat much from outside. I don't even eat takeaways much. Once in a while I do. But most of the time, I cook my food from back at home. Because I can't keep up with the food here. People eat here very different foods, things that you're not used to. So especially with Africans, most Africans cook food for themselves in their houses. So when the body change happens, people back at home, they're quick to judge you and to tell you how bad you're looking, not understanding that it has nothing to do with food. It has nothing to do with food. And I'm not dismissing the fact that when you come to abroad, there are more takeaway food. And by this, I mean, fast food. Fast food is cheaper. I'm not dismissing that. Fast food is cheaper here as compared to back at home. I'm not dismissing that. And I'm not dismissing the fact that if you come to abroad, the first few months of you coming, especially if it was your first time seeing this fast food or experiencing it and seeing different culinary, you will definitely get into the hang of it and try the different cuisines. It is very natural and it is very normal. You might actually add a pound there or two, but it is not the majority that actually contributes to over the time. Because yes, you probably did it for 1 month or 2 months, and after that you continued living your life. Most of the time is getting the hang of it. Climate change is actually the biggest contributor. Trust me. And then work comes in. Work-life balance. Work-life balance, you're always at work. You don't even have time to go. Do you know most people actually go to the gym at night? If you are a 9 to 5, you have to go at night. If you're doing... And imagine people who do night shifts. What time will you get to go to the gym? You're from a night shift. You're resting during the day. Then you go to a night shift. If you have kids, it's even worse. You don't even have time to go work out because you have to take care of your kids. I said this in another episode that when you live in abroad, even for men, they feel it, because here kids under the age of 14 cannot be left home alone. You, a parent or an adult, has to be there to watch them 24 hours. So what time will you go and do your exercises? And I know someone will be like, why don't you do the exercise back at home? Do you have kids? If you have kids, you know. It is not as easy as someone can say. Yes. So it is not really that people are neglecting themselves. It is not really that people have become too greedy. Or it is not really, that people just want to, they've just, ile tunasema na Kiswahili, yani wamejiachilia tu. Hapana, no. Life sometimes becomes like it entangles you to a point you don't even know where to look. Even people get to a point where they've put on the pounds, they're just realizing they're moving from one number to another, like one size to another size. And then that's when they're like, boy, I need to do something about it. But it is not because they're eating too much. First of all, let's get that out of the way. It's not because they're eating too much, and it's not because they're eating too much junk. Yes, life happens. Let us just be kind to them. Let us avoid, the stigma of telling people how bad they look, and at the same time you expect these people to be sending you money back home. It's not fair. They want to support their family. Please just be kind to them. Be kind to them, embrace them, and if at all you're going to tell them that they've added a bit of pound, be positive about it. There are ways to say it. How you say it and what you say really matters. There are ways to tell someone that they've probably put on a bit of weight, but don't say it in such a negative way that someone feels like they're not looking good anymore. You don't have to be very negative about it. Yes, I hope I put that out of the way. Yes, guys, I don't want to say too much, but really, there are a lot of things that happen when people move to abroad, and mostly it's the communication and the body changes that happen. And if there's any other thing that I've left out, please just continue putting it in the comment section. Let us continue interacting. What changes have happened? Probably as a family member, what do you think has changed to your brother or your sister that moved to abroad? And how do you think they can do better? What implements can they put, or can we do, or sorry, what should we implement as people who live in abroad, so that there's not that disconnect between us and people back at home? For me personally, I'll just continue saying this. Let us continue being intentional. Both sides, it works both sides. Let us continue being intentional with our brothers, continue checking up on them, and us who are living here, let us take it upon our side that even as much as life is busy and life has gotten, too much sometimes, and we don't even have the hang of it, let us remember that the people that are back at home, those are our family members, and at the end of the day, east, west, home is the best. So we be intentional. If we have to put calendars out and put it in your calendar of event, do whatever you have to do, but you still have to check up on your people back at home, and you still have to support them back at home. And at the same time, before I forget, remember, as you live in abroad, don't forget yourself. Don't send all the money back at home and forget to invest. Invest for yourself, save for yourself, and make sure you're doing something for yourself, so that the day that comes that you feel like going home, you are not just going home to start life again. There should be a difference between you and the person that you left there. Yes, if you can. Sometimes it is impossible for other people, but the ones that can, please let them do their best. Thank you so much, guys, and I've been your host here, Marion Neema, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the little segment that I had today, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. I love you guys, and bye.